Hi again and welcome to my 6th video in my new series. This time I'm gonna do my best to see what went wrong with Battlefield 4. I do have to add as a little note in between that Battlefield is one of my favorite franchises. I've played a lot of it in my younger days, but since Bad Company and Battlefield 3 I've seen it go in a downward spiral, which pains my heart as a gamer a lot. Now what I mean by this is that Battlefield 4 was obviously pushed to completion by EA in order to meet the deadline. Now I know this makes sense since Battlefield is in direct competition to Call of Duty and they're released in the same month, so both of them want to beat each other to the punch. But the biggest problem is that Battlefield 4 is developed and released within 2 years from the previous title. So not only are Activision and EA direct rivals, they already copy each other's development patterns. Now, there doesn't have to be something wrong with releasing a game every 2 years, however, it does become a problem when the game's quality has to make room for copy and paste working methods, because the publishers want to cut corners to save money. According to some rumors, DICE asked EA for some extra time, but this was denied completely. By the way, let me ask you something in between about the footage running in the background. Doesn't this all look and feel like one big scripted interactive movie? It sure does to me. Now, it's already a known fact that EA is in money trouble and was also voted the worst American company of the year, which doesn't help their reputation a lot because you have to be really bad at your job as a game publisher to beat Activision as worst company in America. Now, all these problems that EA has makes them even more tenacious and determined to milk all the franchises of which they own the copyrights of. So, because they're desperate in earning money, so that their stocks and shareholders stay positive and don't get aggravated, they are releasing one farce after another. I don't think it will be long before EA goes down altogether. There are enough people secretly waiting behind the door to take a shot at EA.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Now this point is an ironic one, because the engine is basically an updated version of Battlefield 3. When I played the beta, the game had even the same bugs as Battlefield 3's beta. For example, the key binding bugs for the A and Q button and the mouse button 4 and 5 were in both betas. Which means that the Battlefield 4 engine is just an exact copy of the Battlefield 3 engine. Yet the game has had an even worse launch in the first 2 weeks than Battlefield 3. So how can you screw up the programming for a game that's just basically a simple upgraded version of its previous title? Even worse is that the first major patch didn't fix a damn thing at all. It actually made some things worse, like certain crashes occurring more frequently. I think that EA doesn't understand that it's very bad for business if you rush a title so much that it can't even be fixed properly in the first month with patches. And I don't see it improving anytime soon. There's still too many people with random issues, and the scores that EA is taking lately is gonna be their downfall sooner or later. This point is kind of obvious. Battlefield 4 does not look like a completely new full game. You can see that they just polished up Battlefield 3 a bit by adding back the commander and balancing some stuff out, or other things that the community complained about, for example the suppression. I can't help but to think that this just looks and feels to me as if EA thinks that they can get away with the same business plan that Activision and Infinity Ward uses.
And you fail!
Between each Modern Warfare game there was an exact same amount of time for development as you see between Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. For the people who don't get the picture, you can't deliver a full game that's running perfectly in just 2 years with a team of the exact same size as the one that worked 5 years on Battlefield 3. It's not gonna happen. Why else do you think that every COD game looks like it's a twin from the previous title? Now what they did do right was the map design. They added a lot better maps to the game with much less choke points, which is mainly thanks to the more vertical design. However, the fact stays the same. This game should have been Battlefield 3. But for them, it's a great way to earn twice the amount of money on both games and their 4 DLCs. Levolution doesn't add that much to the game for me. It's a nice feature, but on some maps it becomes more annoying than enjoyable. I still remember that in the beta people were openly shouting in the general chat that they should leave the Shanghai Tower in the middle upright instead of destroying it. Now I can somehow relate to that because on that particular map it is a lot more fun to leave it be so that you have that vertical gameplay instead of having to find your way in a pile of rubble. Now the battle packs are a little bit more annoying, because I've played the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer a lot and it looks and feels a lot like a similar unlock system. I absolutely hate random unlocks. I like it a lot when I can choose with points or an in-game currency what I want to unlock, because random unlock systems are just basically there to keep you addicted to the game. This is usually because there is a microtransaction system in the game to purchase some random packs or crates, so it's in the best interest of the developer to keep you stuck to the game. However, it's usually done in a bad way because nobody wants to stick to a game that doesn't allow them to play it their way. In Battlefield 4, however, it is done a little bit differently, but still with the same idea in mind, to lure people into buying the packs with microtransactions, because they force you to unlock all accessories over and over again for each gun you unlock. So these battle packs are meant to seduce people and doing it the easy way, so EA can still earn $1 or $2 on it. In my opinion, there are tons of other ways to keep people invested or stuck to a game, but this one is not the way to do it. I hated premium membership in Battlefield 3 because it split the community in two halves. On one half, those people without who cannot join premium servers, and on the other half, people who were willing to pay to be in a little exclusive members club. Now, I don't get it why people take premium, because it is in fact even worse than pre-ordering games. Before Battlefield 3 release, you knew nothing of what the last two DLCs would be like. You were just buying all the DLCs blindly on good faith alone. At least with pre-ordering games, you'll get a trailer with the first gameplay to give you an idea of what it might look like, and even then it's a big gamble. Just look at examples like Total War, Rome 2 or Aliens Colonial Marines. For all you knew, DICE and EA could have delivered some crappy DLCs. The only thing that made them put an effort into it was the fact that there were still people who didn't buy premium yet and needed to become convinced of buying it. However, if everybody bought premium in advance, then hypothetically speaking there would be no guarantee that they would even put some effort in the DLCs. And yes, I know the first couple of DLCs were ready before Battlefield 3 launched, but the last two DLCs weren't even completed yet. So my advice is, buy only something if you know what you're buying. Don't get tricked into cheap deals or bargains. Now, as a final word, I have to say that it hurts me to see what has become of my favorite franchise. Battlefield 4 improved on some parts where Battlefield 3 went wrong, but it still doesn't justify the fact that you pay full price for something that is really just an upgrade or could be considered an expansion. Now, don't get me wrong, Battlefield 4 is a good game apart from the crashes, if Battlefield 3 never existed. But you just can't ignore the release of Battlefield 3 and how it makes this game look, especially considering that it was released only 2 years ago. Now the final verdict of this game's rights and wrongs. I'll see you guys next time.